right, for editing number 6, we're going to learn how to do restorations. Restorations are a fantastic skill to learn. There's a lot involved in doing photo restorations, and you're going to be using multiple skills to do restorations. But in this restoration, it's going to be very simple, and we're going to learn 2 new skills. So the first thing I need you to do is to find a damaged photograph that is high resolution. So if you search on Google images, make sure you choose large file size in order to be able to work some really nice details with your restoration. If not, I do have this image. You are welcome to download and use this for those purposes. So I'm going to go ahead and download this picture. And the next thing I need to do is I need to open up Pixlr. And remember, you don't need to sign in. You just need to go to the advanced photo editor. And notice I've been working on some before as well. So I'm going to show you that there's 2 ways you can bring it in. You can just drag it into here and it will open up a new file. Or if you don't have that option on your Chromebooks, you can just go to click image, open image, and then I'm going to go to the last download that I had, which was the Abraham Lincoln picture, and it will pull it up right here for you. All right, so we've got our whole setup here, which is really nice. We're going to be using this slider over here to zoom in and out a lot because you're going to have to get into some details. What you're looking at at this picture, you've got some blemishes on the actual photograph. So you can see here, you don't ever want to delete features of the person, but you want to delete the defects of the actual physical picture. So you have to be very careful about that. You can see here in this picture, his face is in really good detail, but his ears, it's a really short depth of field picture. His ears are out of focus. You don't want the whole picture to look out of focus. So you have to be very careful about what tools you select to clean up this picture. All right, so the 2 tools we're going to be using is called the clone tool, which is on the left side here. It looks like a stamp. And then we also are going to be using the heal tool. Okay, this is to remove spots on wanted objects, blemishes, and to clean up images. So of course, when you're doing an actual restoration, you'll use other features as well, but these are the 2 features I want you to practice today. Luckily, this picture is in black and white, so it makes it a little bit easier for being able to find the picture and the pixels that you want to duplicate. So first I'm going to come over to the clone tool. Use the clone tool as much as possible. The clone tool is very helpful for getting exact pixels rather than the software trying to predict what you're trying to do on your own. So I think that's a fantastic option for you. So when you click on the clone tool, you can see that there's a brush size here. And you can choose whatever type of brush that you want. So when you're going to borrow pixels from one area and put them onto another area, what type of pixels do you want? Do you want there to be a feathered edge with your softness here, or do you want it to be a hard edge? Let's go ahead and look at the difference between the 2 before I even get started. I'm going to take away all the softness. And I'm going to come over to his eye because that's going to be the easiest one to do. And let's make the size bigger. And notice I only have a plus symbol right here, but it's not until I click the shift key that I actually get to see my circle size. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go a little bit bigger because I want to make this larger. Okay, so I've made it large enough, and now what I want to do is I want to come over and take a look at this, and notice now I've got a really large circle when I click the shift key. All right, so how the clone tool works is you need to select the pixels you want to borrow and to move them to a new location. Actually, this brush is really large. I'm going to go a little bit smaller. Okay. All right, that's good. So I'm going to select here by doing shift and then click. So you see it says selecting source. And then all I have to do is bring it over to the new location and click again without the shift key, and it will transfer all those pixels over to a new location. So as you can see, it created a harsh line circle around that selection. I'm going to Control Z to get out of that, or you can always go to the history and get out of that. Instead, let's try to see what it looks like if I increase the softness here. And once I increase the softness, it also changes my size. So I'm going to have to increase my size. And I do Shift, click, transfer. This one has more of a natural look to it, but as you can tell, it's got the fuzzy edges, so it is going to be distorting your images a little bit. So that might be good or it might be bad depending on what you're trying to do. So let's try to do something serious here and try and clean this up. You're going to want to make sure that you are not using a circle that is too large. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce my size. I like to keep my soft brush here for areas where there's a really indistinguishable pixels here where I'm not like having in features. I'm just working on the background. So watch what I can do here. I'm going to Shift, click, and I'm going to borrow those pixels and put them over here. And I can continue to go down there and it will continue to borrow pixels from that area. If I want to change this up and do Shift, click here, and then drag, notice it will follow along with me. Click, and then I can drag. Do you see how that target will follow along with me? Okay, and now I'm going to steal and click all around here. Now, as you can see here, this is a little bit more challenging because I have, it's really dark, the pixels I was stealing from over here, so I might need to come over here and steal. Now, we're getting to a problem here where I have too light of pixels over here and I have dark pixels over here. So this might be a good opportunity to introduce the healing tool. So I'm going to come over to the healing tool and I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger. So let's come over to the size, and the healing tool will just take the pixels around that area and try to fix things based on what it thinks you're trying to do. So it's kind of like a smart brush here. So this is really nice for when you are, notice it does make it really fuzzy. You have to be very careful if you use too much of this. It looks like it's really, really edited. So that's why you don't want to use the healing tool too much. You can see these pixels have really softened, but the pixels over here are not soft. So that is the problem with the healing tool, and you should use it in a very limited fashion as much as possible. Try to use the clone tool as much as possible before you use the healing tool. So it'll carry over these pixels better. If you can see, the clone tool does a better job with that. In an area like this, you do not want to use the healing tool because you can see here that you need to get this exact so it really looks like his hair. So I'm going to use the clone tool. I'm going to change the size of my brush and I'm going to decrease the softness so I get it more exact. Decrease the size. Click the Shift key, and then borrow those pixels from below. If I need to, I might need to borrow some pixels from above. Now you can see I'm thinking that's way too harsh around the edges there, so I'm going to go ahead and increase the softness a little bit to make that better. Shift, click. Okay, so all you're going to do is try and figure out the best way to work on the restoration that you have. When you are finished, get all the blemishes. I'm talking about things like this, all the way down here, all these blemishes on this picture. Clean it all up so that it looks natural. It looks like it has not been edited, and then submit it to your assignment.